I'm not saying you should have voted one way or the other. What I'm saying is that we can be absolutely certain about things only when we don't really understand them. Only when we don't understand them. And it goes back to what you're saying, if we're raised with a belief system, a belief doctrinal system, whether it's Catholic, whether it's National Socialist, whether it's astrologist, like we look at some people look at Catholics and be like, oh my God, like, why do you believe that? How could you possibly believe that? So let me get this straight. If you're religious, you believe that there's some like bearded guy in the sky somewhere who made all of this. You believe that? Okay. If you're an atheist, let me get this straight. You believe that in the beginning there was nothing, and then suddenly it exploded. Okay. Man, there are problems with both sides. And if you're religious and you don't see the problems with your side, that's why you're so certain about it. Because the more that you learn about it, you realize there are good reasons for not believing. If you're an atheist and you just can't understand, well, how can people be so dumb as to believe in religion? My guess is you simply do not understand the religious side of things. You can only be 100%. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have an opinion, you can't lean towards one. But when you don't have the ability, especially to articulate what the other side believes. Like if you're religious and I were to ask you, why do atheists believe what they believe? Think about how you might explain that. Well, they think, think about how you would say their side. Would you make them out to be intelligent? Or would you make them out to sound like fools? Yeah, if you're religious, how would you describe atheists? I think I explained it. You get the idea with both sides. If you're pro-abortion, and I were to ask you, why are people against abortion? And you were to say, they just hate women. They want to control women's bodies. Do you think there's like a national gathering of all women haters who get together every year? Not called Congress, but they get together every year and they twirl their mustaches and they go, how can we control women's bodies?
Yeah, I go there every year.
Yeah. Shh, don't tell them. This is coming up at the meeting. You're going to lose your card.
Oh, shit.
And you really think that they sit there and they're like, how can we control? Do you think that, by the way, do you think that people who are in favor of abortion, do you think they sit there every year at the national gathering of people who want to murder babies and say, how can we murder babies? Do you really think that they gather? Do you think that people really think that way? But this is the thing. It's easy for us to categorize them that way. Like they just, why they? Because they just want to escape responsibility and murder babies. You really think that they realize? You really think that they think that? Is it possible that they just don't think that they are babies? That they think that there's something else that and then maybe that's the discussion that should be had, because that's the one that could be fruitful. When people want to focus on the other part, they're just evil and they're terrible and they're wicked. That doesn't mean that they're not. But what that does mean is that maybe you aren't focusing. That would depend on them actually believing the thing that you're saying, that they're babies. Is it possible that they don't just want to control women's bodies? That they look at fetuses and say, those are babies. And every year when we kill them, we're killing babies. And that's why they're so passionate about it. So maybe that's where the discussion has to happen. At the philosophical level of what is it to be a human? And that's a hard conversation for us to have, because for many of us, it's so obvious. It's to be a human. That's what it is to be a human. What is it? But what is it to be a human? Oh my God, if I knew, we wouldn't be arguing about the abortion thing, would we? Now, by the way, there are people who do believe, yeah, it's a human, but there are reasons for killing it. But how many of us would stand up and say, yeah, I think it's a human being, but we should be okay killing it? Most people wouldn't, don't think of it that way. And so those things that are philosophical questions, they really, really start to matter. And it's interesting that it's a thing that we all are, human. And if we have trouble explaining what it is, because we think it's just so obvious, this should point out to us why. Because it's so obvious to us because we're not certain about what it is. That's why we're so certain about what it is, because we don't know what it is. Because it's like you'll hear me say sometimes that something makes sense if you don't think about it too much. It's like, I think of some examples. Like we talked about when you can get sick from the rain. Yeah. It makes sense if you don't think about it. Why don't you get sick in the shower? Viruses don't follow the raindrops, just all the way down, just skyrocketing down, land on you. You don't get sick from the rain, dude, it's just water. You know, but it makes sense if you don't. That's not true. My mom says, yeah, and it makes sense if you don't think about it. But as soon as you start thinking about it, you go. So every time I get wet, then so then what you do is next time if your mom tells you get sick from the rain, tell your mom that's why I can't do dishes. You want to kill me, Mom? Yeah, then get your hands up.
Yeah. Protect your hair.
Yeah, yeah.
Gonna use it against you.
You try to. So, as soon as you understand that, now all of a sudden a bunch of things start to open up to you. And by the way, one of the things that opens up to you is how much fun it can be to run around in the rain. Because now you realize like that's silly. I'm not gonna get wet. I'm not gonna get sick from that. And there's a lot of things in life that are like this. As soon as you start to see the bigger picture, you start to think more broadly. And by the way, what that therefore means is that if you are pro-abortion, you can look at people who are anti-abortion and not hate them. You can understand and go, they're trying to do the best thing for me. Or they think they think they're doing the best thing for babies. Sorry, get ahead of myself there. And if you're pro-abortion, you can sit there and go, dang it, dude. They're not terrible people. They just don't realize it's a human. How can I convince them that it's a human? Because as soon as you can convince them that they are a human or that they're not a human, all those things go away. It's a matter of disagreement. You know, it's like Jehovah's Witnesses who show up at your house on Sunday morning and they wake you up. Hate those guys. Anybody here like to mess with them? Spray them with water, stuff like that? I ask that because I know people who do. But think about it. Why are they showing up at your house?
Spread the word of God.
Why?
That's what they believe that they have to do.
What's going to happen to you if they don't?
You think you're going to go to hell or something?
Yeah, they think you're going to hell. They think that you're going to an eternal place of suffering and torment. They think you're going to hell. Now, are you or are you not? I don't know. But here's the important part. They believe that you are, and they're doing something about it. You might be pissed off that they woke you up. You might be annoyed that they want to talk to you about that stuff. I guess one question is, why are you annoyed that they want to talk to you about that stuff? Maybe they could cruise by around 1. They have to show up at 8. But there's a reason, by the way, they come by on Sundays. Why do they come by on Sundays?
Probably their free time.
True. Who else's free time is it? God's? He's just chilling?
Yours.
Your free time. Because where are you not on Sunday morning?
Church.
They're going to people specifically who would be home because they're not at church. So they're going to people who they think very well are in danger of going to hell. They're not just showing up on Monday afternoons. There's a reason they come by mostly. That's not when they only come by, but there's a reason they mostly come by on Sunday mornings. Because if you're at home, you're not at church, and they're worried about you. But it's only because, that's the pessimistic way of seeing it. It's only because they want to look good in front of people. Perhaps, maybe that's why you don't go to church though, because you're afraid of looking silly in front of people. Maybe that's why you don't raise your hand in class, when some of you guys have some fantastic things to say. I've read some of your journals. You guys have some fantastic things to say, but there's a reason you don't say it, because you're afraid of looking silly. These are people who, what do you suppose their batting average is when that door opens up? That they get a warm welcome. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Versus, get off my porch, slam. And they're willing to endure all of that because they care about you as a stranger. Why do they care so much? Here's a better question. Why do they care so much? Because they do. And I'm not saying that they're right. I'm not saying that they're wrong. All I'm saying is maybe it'll help you to hate them a little bit less, which might make your day a bit better. It might make you connect with people a little bit better. Because not everybody you come across in life is stupid or evil. And it's only our inability, or not even our inability, let's call it what it is. It's our refusal to see the world from other people's perspectives that leads us to believe that people are stupid or evil or wicked or anything. And man, that makes the world such an antagonistic and hostile place if you really think that about people who live around you. Trying to see the best in them. Why are they doing that? There's a reason for it. And you guys come in here, come on, man. Why do you think that teachers, when teachers are, I'm sure you guys all have those teachers who are just annoyed and frustrated and angry and they make fun of them. God, they get mad so easy. Do you think they were like that when they started teaching?
Yes.
And that's why they became teachers. They just hated young people so much that they wanted to go through and make their lives miserable. Or Was it?
And they got a PhD.
Yeah. Or do you suppose that maybe they were trying to do something positive, but after years and years and years and years and years of constant and consistent disrespect from people, that's worn away at them and that's made them bitter and jaded and angry? I don't know. Isn't there a reason that the newer teachers are usually not like that, but the older ones are? Now, it's easy. I can see it. Why do you guys behave the way that you guys behave? Because you guys were raised badly. You're disrespectful. You guys don't understand and appreciate the world around you. Damn it. Put it away and take out your papers. Can I go to the bathroom? Shut up. Why do you guys behave the way that you guys do? Lots of reasons. Not just because you're disrespectful, though, sometimes. Why? Because you don't know. Is it because you were raised badly? No, not necessarily. Now, it's easy for someone to start to think that. It's easy for us to see the worst in how people behave. Just like you guys can look at a teacher who's angry and go, God, they're always so mad. They're just, why? You can look at them and go, wow, that's a lot of years of having to put up with some garbage. By the way, I'm not saying you excuse it. I'm just saying you understand it. And in understanding it, it makes you far less angry and bitter. And by the way, once you understand that, there's a way to navigate that pretty successfully. Be respectful. I'm not saying kiss ass. Don't ever kiss people's asses. They won't respect you if you do. But you can be respectful. You can be the things that will actually, you can practice being here, the things that are going to benefit you in life. Be kind, be respectful, and there'll be weird things that happen. All of a sudden, when they look at your paper, they'll be like, oh, it's a good kid. It's a good person. You need something. I'll help them out. That's why I go out of my way not to look at the names on papers when I grade them. Because I have impressions of a lot of you. Some of you have impressions of yourselves. One of my students. I was reading their journal. They did like half of them. And I was thinking like, man, I wish you did the rest of them. And it was occurring to me that this person who's really comes off to me as really sharp, really smart. And I was thinking about this person. I've talked to him a few times. I don't think they know it. And I was thinking like, frick. That is part of my fault because I don't think I've mentioned it to this person. But the stuff I was reading, I'm like, this is really good. This person should write books. Get better at writing, become a sharper writer, probably read more. But it's so honest and real that it's a rare thing that when I read someone's writing, I can hear their voice on the page. And this person's like that. I'm just thinking like, wow, reading this thing is like having a conversation with this person. There are a few people that are like that, but this person's like, stands out to me as this, And I'm thinking like, wow, this person should write books someday. And I was thinking like, why doesn't this person take stuff more seriously? I'm thinking, this person probably has not been told how smart they are and how sharp they are. So why would they believe it? I can say their grades don't reflect it. Why don't their grades reflect it? Because they're stupid. Or maybe they've been told that. Or maybe they just haven't been told how smart they are, how sharp they are, what they can be. And I sit there as a teacher, I'm like, gosh dang it. 12 years in, and second semester, I've never mentioned it, so I can very well get angry like other teachers. How come no one's ever told her? I don't understand. And then never mention it myself, right? Or sit there and go, maybe I should say something. Will it make a difference in their life? I don't know. Maybe if they've never been told this, or maybe I'll tell them and they'll go, oh yeah, I know, I hear this all the time. Oh, never mind. Screw it. But there's a reason that students end up jaded. Maybe they've never been encouraged. By the way, some people have been encouraged too much. You're wonderful and spectacular and great just the way you are. And then when you come across someone who's honest with you, they're just a hater. They just hate me. No. People don't get into this profession because they hate people. People get into professions because they want to do something positive in that profession. Think about what kind of a masochist it would take to become a teacher if you hate kids. Because then you surround yourself constantly upsetting kids who are then going to make it their life's mission to make your life miserable. Of course not. But that happens. But it happens in life. It happens among people who just, nobody sets out at the beginning to be that way, but people end up that way. They don't make a conscious effort. So I'm saying is don't be so certain about things. don't be wishy-washy. But how do you find that balance in between? To find out the things that you care about and to learn about the things that you care about. And to learn about something, care about something. No matter what it is, music, religion, politics, spiritualism, find something and become an expert in it. That's what an educated person is, by the way. It's a person who knows something about everything and everything about something. Become well-rounded. Don't find yourself in a room where you can't have a conversation about multiple things. It doesn't have to be an expert in it. But then find something that you're passionate about and become an expert in it. It doesn't matter what it is, unless it's anime. Don't make it that. But anything except for anime. Or I guess if it's anime, fine. And then when you become a wealthy, famous anime artist someday, just remember, I am the one who encouraged you. When you got those extra millions laying around, just remember, I'm the one who encouraged you. And so, be certain about the things that you, I guess what I'm saying is find the things and hold them in a loose fist. You know what I mean by that? Hold on to something, not so tight that you're white-knuckled and that you're killing it and nobody can ever take it out of your hand. You know? That's sometimes people's beliefs and ideas. They're impervious to reason. No matter what I tell you, you'll never change your mind. If somebody wants to argue with me about an issue, I'll typically ask them right at the beginning, what could I tell you that would change your mind? Or what could I show you that would change your mind? Nothing. Oh, okay, then let's not talk about it. Because then we're both just going to end up frustrated and angry. Let's talk about something that we can actually connect over, not something that's going to separate us out. Hold it in a loose fist. A fist so that it's not easy to take it away from you. It's a belief system, but a belief system that you can take away and replace with something else if it's better. But not so tightly that you strangle it, and not so tightly not that you can never grow past it.
Keep an open mind.
Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Happy Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.